Hello, world. Hello,
Hello.
Asaf.
Hello.
Welcome
Can you
to the
hear me?
great. Yeah,
Yes.
I hear you. Great. Welcome to the
Okay.
great transition. Asaf, I just got really good news today. I sent you that book, that box of books,
Oh, the
of
box
the
of
new
books.
book,
Right.
and I've been getting some feed too. So I asked you to deliver. So if everyone doesn't know, wrote this book, which is a bunch of articles of Bala Sulam, the Kabbalist, and I simplified it into this little book here.
Right.
And anyway, I sent you a box instead of sending 20
Everybody
boxes.
watching, everybody who's already tuned in and watching, this is the time to say congrats to Seth. He's been
Thank you.
working on this for how many what's how many
Three
months?
years,
3 years.
months, 3 years. So anyway, the
Okay.
point is that the point I want to make about it now is that I sent you, I don't know, 15, 16 books to give to some dear friends over there, Chris being one of them. Hey, Chris.
Right.
Um, and I'm getting
And
feedback now.
also one to Kabbalist Dr. Michael Lightman, our
Thank you
teacher.
for getting that done
which
too. Thank you,
I
Norma.
which I heard he just got, by the way. Okay. Anyway, yeah.
So I'm getting some feedback, from some of my closest friends in the world, whose opinions I really, really value. And one of the things, the feedback that I'm getting, is that to actually have the book, to hold it, to
Hmm.
go through it like page, and there's something to the actual physical thing, which was so weird, which I kind of knew when I was making it.
Yeah,
I
there
didn't want to
is.
send it out as a
There is.
digital book
Yeah.
because I wanted someone to hold it and like have this experience. But it's really interesting because it seems everything in my life has been going just digital, 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 digital.
Right.
And then something about this experience is like there is still something in the world to be said for, as much as we
Um
want to get away from things, there is still something, there is some value still to
there
this
there's
world,
no there's no
to hold.
doubt, and it's I think it's because how our senses work, how our desires work, meaning it's we're part of this world. It's part of the perception that we are currently in. And so when you ignore touch, for example, which doesn't happen through the virtual world, right? So when you exclude the sense of touch, you definitely lose a certain bit of this level of perception of reality.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
guess,
wow.
yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
touch is huge.
Touch is
You could
huge.
still be like
Yeah.
spiritual without touch, but it's, well, maybe, I don't even know. I mean, there's spiritual touching, which is a
Well,
whole other thing. But I mean, even in this life,
mm,
to see, to smell. Okay, anyway, the point is, welcome everybody to the Great Transition. It is Tuesday. We are here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern
it's
Time,
Thursday,
and
man.
or
It's
Thursday.
Thursday,
Sorry,
and we are here every Thursday.
both
I
start with a
I
T.
love that. I love that the sense of time,
I have no sense
day
of time.
day day and time is
Every Thursday. Yeah, you looked confused while I was saying it. I was like, why does he look so confused? We're supposed to be. Um,
oh man.
there is something to be said, and even I think that this is representative for me of that there will be more things. As much as everything is going digital, 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 and all
Hmm.
the connections are virtual, 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 there's going to be something that we need to pay attention to in our physical lives as well. There's some value down here on earth. We're going to have to
Hmm.
see where that connection is. Anyway,
Okay.
welcome to the Great Transition. Here we are looking at things coming across the news lately about this Delta variant. That's what it's called, right? Delta variant.
Yeah, the Indian
About all
variant, the Delta variant, they call it. Yeah, one of the.
things are things are developing in the COVID world. And here on the Great Transition, we talk about what's going on in the world through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah. And virus didn't go away, although we feel like life is kind of going back to normal. But maybe it looks like actually it's not going back to normal. And our goal is to not frighten, to not alarm, but to, if you already know if you already know the plan of nature, you can face it differently. You can look at it differently. So that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to explore that. If you're here for the first time, please say hi. Let us know where you're from. Oh, cool. Shannon in Canada. I know she's in Canada because
Even
she
if you're
ordered a
not
book
here
and I
for the
sent.
first time, that still tell us where you're watching from. That's always great to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And if you have questions or anything, let us know. So, oh, look, so Patricia and Shannon both got books already. Awesome. Oh,
Oh,
great.
wow.
Okay,
Great.
awesome. So happy to hear that. Tell us your feedback from it. So, Asaf, listen, I have a
Yeah.
problem. Okay.
Okay. Hit me.
Um, I was I could say I was happy as a kid, but I was distraught. I had an emptiness inside of me, and it grew more and more. The more I kind of started to understand about life in high school, I thought about my trajectory in life. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna retire, and I'm gonna die. Like that's
Mm.
so
What age?
felt
What
felt
age did you start? Did you start thinking?
I
These like.
I actually was a weird dude. I remember being really young and having these feelings, but I didn't have words for them. But
Mm-hmm.
this was
Yeah.
like at least high school probably when I really was like, wait a
Right.
minute. I'm going to leave home and then I'm basically being shot out into the world to go to like college, job, retire, die. Like that's it. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
the I'm already in the end
In
of
the
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 of the life, like
production
the
line.
shoot.
The production line. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I remember getting to university. I was so excited to get to university. I took a class for a semester called Philosophy of God or something like that. We talked about it. I was so excited. It was horrible. It was so boring. It was fun as it can be to party and explore
Mm-hmm.
drugs and all kind of cool things I did leaving home. But really, it was really I didn't get any of the answers I was kind of looking for. I just got experiences. Dropped out of college. I remember, and I started searching Eastern religions and stuff because it was more. Um, I grew up like in a Jewish suburban community, just normal. We went on the holidays, nothing very
Yeah. You
spiritual. I
just
loved
you
singing the
wanted to
songs and stuff.
experiment with something that is not familiar, that is not you, that is not your
Exotic. I
family.
loved the
Yeah.
clothes. I loved the robes and the long beard and the
Sure.
all that stuff and the
Well,
smells, the incense. All this stuff was like seemed exotic.
we both
So
had you had dreadlocks too at some point, right?
I
That
did.
or yeah, okay. Yeah. So
You
we
too?
we both went through that. Yeah, I didn't I
That's
show you
funny.
that was
Well, one day we'll
long,
have to put those
long
pictures
time
up.
ago.
That's funny.
Okay.
Okay, so I loved it. I
Um,
loved that. God, I wish I have hair like that. So, um, I remember being in Northern California, which is beautiful, big giant redwood trees, like trees it would take many people holding hands to get around the tree, huge. And just, coming from the suburbs of a city on the East Coast, it's like a different world. Everything on the East Coast is close together, tight, fast paced. And out here, it's just huge and open and slow. And there was no cell phones. It was early 90s. Met some people, ended up that night sleeping in the back of a pickup truck with some people somewhere so that we could make it to the Hari Krishna temple uh, by 3 I don't know, whatever,
wh-
maybe 3 a.m., whenever it
where
was. I
was
remember
it
being
exactly?
somewhere in Northern California. I don't remember.
Okay. Okay.
And I remember going into the morning prayer. And again, I loved everybody in the robes. I loved the smell of the incense. They had huge, bigger than normal people, statues of whoever their gurus are, whatever, like big, actual, looked like the people, like in a wax museum or something. And they were saying prayers and chanting and stuff. I couldn't get into the prayers so much at the time, but I loved the vibe. But I was like, this doesn't. It's not me. Also, like I was very cool. I liked it. I liked
Mm.
being up early, like doing something nobody else was doing. I liked kind of touching something that not everybody knew about. I liked that I was maybe connecting to some thing, um, but something about it didn't sit right with me. And I continued on this journey back to on and on and on and on. Eventually, found one thing, found another thing, and found something that worked. And here I've been for 20 years on this journey. My question to you is, and this is the problem, did I have any free choice in this process, or was this emptiness inside of me just guiding me um, until I got here?
and and just to make sure, we are somehow going to talk about uh, this this next wave or whatever of COVID, right?
Oh yeah,
Somehow.
this is just
So
my tactic to
okay,
get you
okay.
there. I
No,
just want to take you.
I just
I want
wanted
to
to
take
make
you.
sure because
Want
you started from a very interesting unexpected perspective. So I'm just making
No, I've
sure.
been since we decided that we were going to talk about this. I've been thinking about a lot of things. I've been thinking about my life, where I came from. I'm thinking of
Right.
all of humanity, what's
Okay.
going on for everyone, and there's some important things to dress and put on the table, because it's not enough to put hocus pocus on the table, or my beliefs, or my what I'd like to be happening.
Mm.
I'd like to trust this scientist, or I'd like to hope that this vaccine, or I'd like to maybe this,
Mm.
or I'd like to think that life may go back to normal, or I'd like to think my kids will have a healthy future. Like, not just that. I want to actually look at like what is,
So
and try and
I'll throw the question back at you in a way. Like, what do you consider free choice then? What would you consider a free choice?
I consider that when a giraffe wakes up in the morning with his giraffe neck and his giraffe family, like when he
Right?
gets hungry, he goes and eats some giraffe food, and pretty much he's just living on instinct.
He or she, right?
He or she is living on instinct.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, am not living on instinct. I get up in the morning, I decide if I'm going to have oatmeal, if I'm just going to have a coffee, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make some celery, lemon, ginger juice. I decide what I'm going to eat based on
Right. And where
how
do you
I
get
feel and what my goals are in
and
life.
and
And
where do we get all those ideas about that cereal or this cereal or that food or this food? And there's like a gamut of options that you're considering what you're gonna have for breakfast, and they all
so
come to
maybe I don't
you.
have, okay, so let's fine. So maybe I
Yeah.
don't have 100% complete free choice, because I don't know every possible breakfast option. If I knew every possible breakfast option and had
Hmm.
all the ingredients in my kitchen, then one could say I have free choice. Suppose I have 15% of
Can you
breakfast
decide
options.
not to
Suppose I have
have breakfast?
5%.
Can you
What?
decide not? Can you decide not to have breakfast? Maybe that's free
Sure. I could
choice.
also decide not to have breakfast. I could say, I'm intermittent fasting.
Can you
I'm
decide?
on,
But
I'm
you
not,
but you will be hungry if you don't eat, right? Can you decide not to be
sure.
hungry?
Yeah. I could say, you know what?
How can you
I
decide
want
not
to
to be
have, I want to,
hungry?
I
You're,
want to
you
be more fit or whatever. I'm not going to eat until 1 p.m.
No,
every
but
day.
your
I'm only
body
doing
is gonna
water.
tell you, "I'm hungry. I need food." You
But
cannot
I'm not
eat,
an animal. I have free choice. So I'm deciding not to eat.
not to eat, but not to be hungry is what I'm asking. Can you decide not to
No,
be
I
hungry?
can't decide. No, I guess if the body needs food, it will be hungry. Thank God,
Exactly.
that's what keeps us alive.
Okay. So from everything that you've said, you're
Hmm.
basically considering just, selecting, selecting, not even, making a choice. I would just say selecting from a menu of options that you've been indoctrinated to get used to through habit and social programming and commercials and advertisements. Through from that selection, you are selecting something based on a natural sense of hunger that you didn't choose as well, and you can't choose whether to have it or not. You're going to be hungry, so you can choose one of these options or not to have any one of them at all, and that's what we consider as choice, right? So we really call that choice? Is that
No, no. So
really
I agree.
free
Hold on. So I
choice?
agree with you. So I don't have 100% free choice on breakfast, because I don't know what they eat in Lithuania for breakfast, and I don't may not have the ingredients
No,
here.
but I'm
So
saying I'm saying that even the choice that you're making is you're just selecting from a more or less limited array of options that you didn't, that came to you from the environment and the
right. So
society
I'm
and the
agreeing.
culture
I
you
don't
live
have
in.
100% free choice. I'm gonna negotiate. I'm gonna say I have 3%, at least 3% of all the possible choices.
And I'm gonna agree with you and call it a percentage of an illusion of free choice. And you
I
could
mean,
call it selection, call it
no, no. So if I
mhm,
have in my house fruits, oats, and eggs,
right?
and I get hungry, so I
Yeah.
decide I'm gonna have today eggs with tortillas.
Okay, but you're
So
deciding.
that's
But even
that's
that
my choice, right?
decision, well, even that decision is based on a program. And that program, it works before, it's not, it works before you decide. It's just you're playing out a program. And that program is saying, okay, what were the options? Fruit, whatever.
Fruits, oats, or eggs.
Fruits, oats, or eggs. Okay, so you're looking at those A, B, and C options, right? And you
Yeah.
are trying to calculate what is gonna give me the the best result, the best result, the best pleasurable result at minimum amount of risks, efforts, pain, cost. So if, for instance, I know that option A is might make me feel a little sick afterwards, or option C might get me a little, it's gonna get me to gain weight or something like that, or I don't have enough fruit left, so option A is not that great because I want to keep some of the fruit for later. So you have this accountant in the back of your mind, and it's trying to make the calculation of what is the most effective, productive, pleasurable, ultimately pleasurable result right now, as opposed to the cost that you're going to pay. And you're making that decision. And of course, there's also what you perceive at the moment to be the tastiest, for your palate right now. That's also something that you're not really, you're not choosing. You're playing out a
So if
program.
you knew all the parameters for me, you would know what I would pick. If you knew, for example, my
Right.
diet goals and what was in my fridge and how my day was going to go, you could
And
you
maybe
could.
the advertisement that you've been exposed to in the last 24 hours, that has a lot more effect than those that you were exposed to in the 24 hours before that. That's why advertising is an ongoing thing. They have to drill the stuff they want us to buy into our heads again and again and again and again and again.
So if you knew
So
these parameters, then the more you understand that these parameters exist and you start to know them, then really I don't have free choice over what I'm going to choose for
you
breakfast.
have an illusion of free
From the
choice.
side of nature.
What you're describing basically in that situation of choosing the
Hmm.
meal you want to have, it's not, I wouldn't say it's free choice. I would say it's you experiencing the the how the program of your desire to receive the maximum amount of pleasure at the minimum amount of risk, at the minimum amount of cost, you're experiencing that program before it gets to the output. So you get inputs. I have A, B, and C, fruits, oats, this and that. I woke up in the morning. I feel like this. I feel like, this kind of taste, that kind of taste. You have all those inputs coming in, and now the processing happens. When the processing happens right before there's an output, right before you go ding, the machine goes ding, oats, that's what I need right now.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
what you call free choice is just the moments where you experience the program at work before it reaches the output, before there's a ding and it's done working. It's you experience the processing of the computer program that's looking for the best result at minimum cost, and we
So
call that free choice.
I have another problem then.
Okay.
There was a story that came out a while ago. Now it's gaining traction again that maybe the virus came from a lab.
Okay.
Okay. Coronavirus
Mm-hmm.
came from a lab. So it got me thinking, if these scientists also are following whatever, for me, it was some emptiness that guided me through my life, through here, through there, through there, through there. And, or even with my breakfast, you could see if you knew my parameters and you know what my goals were, there's no real free choice there. They're just following the plan of whatever awakens inside of me. So as I'm thinking about the scientists, like there's like this view that it's natural
Mm-hmm.
or it's science. It was made in a lab, which means like not natural. But then from the position of a Kabbalist, if the scientists are part of nature and the scientists and nature developed those scientists for the last couple 100,000 years, even billions of years since they were stardust through all the generations until now. So then those scientists really, they have an illusion of choice also, but they are just executing nature's order as well. So like I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, doesn't really matter to the Kabbalists whether it came from a lab or whether it came from a jungle. I guess it's both
Yeah.
nature expressing itself in different.
The again, it's first of all, it's the lab leak theory, right? That's how they call it. It's interesting. It's interesting that it gets right now. It's getting more legitimacy and more support. Um, you know, it's just funny how it's all about the narratives that we tell ourselves in society, right? There were a few months ago, uh, that the lab leak theory was considered like almost racist, or it was heavily politicized. If you support that, if you think that way, you're probably on one side of the spectrum, and you're, you know, and then, the narrative changes a little. And now all of a sudden, something that was considered out of the limits of debate for some people now becomes a legitimate thing to ask. Nothing has changed. I looked into it. In terms of the scientific community, nothing has changed. That's what I wanted to say. It's a very interesting thing. In the last few months, no new information was received about the yet. They're looking at now. More people are looking into it. Biden sent the intelligence community to look into it, and so on. More scientists are looking into it. Nothing new was already found. The scientists are saying there's basically breadcrumbs all over. Anyway, that's a tangent. The does it really matter is what you're asking, right? Like, does it really matter if it's a bat, let's say, for the sake of argument, or if it's a human that meddled with, that gain of function research, they call it, where you try to see whether how to make viruses more transmissible, more deadlier, and this way we learn them and reverse engineer. And maybe there was a leak in a Wuhan lab where they studied that. So first of all, it's possible. It's definitely possible. But whether it's the bat or whether it's the human, they both follow their natural programs. This is something that we are now facing as a global society, whether it came from a bat or from a human. So the fact that nature brought us to that human evolution as part of the general natural system brought us to a point where we are now facing a global pandemic is the result. The Whether it's, even if it happened in a lab, that doesn't mean that nature did not want that result. See what I'm saying? The it's a
Yeah,
it
what it really uncovers here. This very, very new, nuanced, many different flavors way of looking at life. Before, I looked at life like it was either just natural or it was man-made. But now, when you have this Kabbalistic lens on the world, and you understand we're each almost like a cell inside of a body. Now, the fact that we have this inner narrative that we're, like you were talking about, now the narrative thinks this, now the narrative thinks that, but we're basically a cell in this giant body with this ongoing dialogue in our head telling us what to make of it. But regardless of what that voice is making of it, what language it's calling what's happening is, even the scientist is just a cell in this body, and he's moving the same way the giraffe is moving.
and that
He's
exactly, and that means that at we're looking at it in the wrong way if we think that it changes. I'm not saying that people shouldn't maybe investigate it on the level of this world. Yeah, maybe it's relevant for some people who are now doing their job, like in the intelligence community or whatever, to figure out what happened there. We can maybe learn from it for the future. I'm not saying that, just accept everything that happens and that's it. But spiritually speaking, if you want, and when we say spiritually, that means moving towards our integration with the natural program, discovering our integral connection with the rest of nature. From that perspective, COVID has happened in order to push us one more step in this direction towards integration with nature as a global society. And for that program that pushes us to advance, it makes no difference whether it happened through this event or that event. Let me throw at you another example to demonstrate it. There was this they just found in Russia. It's really cool. They found in Russia this worm that lives in Siberian in a Siberian kind of deep freeze. Yeah, there we go. Tiny creature comes back to life after 24,000. Okay, so they found this worm. Chris, can you show it? There we go. So this little thing, it's a multicellular organism, right? That it's like a real organism. And this has been frozen in Siberia for 24,000 years. And now scientists, Russian scientists, were able to bring it back to life after 24,000 years.
Wow.
First of all, yeah, just take a moment to be amazed by nature. Doesn't just immediately tells you we got to
Could you
ask
imagine
ourselves
coming back to life in
about.
24,000 years and like what?
Yeah, yeah. And also what to me it's also like it kind of dissolves the concept of time a little bit, because that's really interesting, because that information, right, that data that's in that worm, right, it's been there 24,000 years ago, let's say, but it also exists now. And where was it for the whole period of 24,000 years? Where was it? Right? It was still there informatively. If you look at only information, if you think of reality as information, everything exists all the time. Time exists, all time exists all the time. And that worm is just, kind of gives you a perspective of it. Anyway, the sorry, that's another tangent.
No, that's incredible that it could just it there's this worm that exists outside of a body, this worm information, and then at some point it's that worm information is clothed inside of some protein thing, some cellular thing for a few years, and then it's frozen, but the worm information just still exists. And then another
Exactly.
time, it
Yes.
clothes itself back again into this protein thing again.
Exactly.
Crazy. So
And
the protein thing is basically like you buy it at a store. You either get one that lasts this long, you get one that lasts 16 years, 70 years. The one this guy bought, it lasts, and then you can freeze it for 24,000 years and come back. And then, it probably lasts another few months and then it dies again or something.
right. Okay. Here's where I wanted to go with this. So this is a living worm after 24,000 years. Multicellular organisms. Viruses are much simpler organisms. They're way smaller and way and a lot simpler in terms of their structure, right? A virus is basically it's literally information. It's just information packaged in protein. That's basically what it is. It's not even it's weird. It's not even a virus is not basically even alive. It's really just a program that replicates itself and mutates as it does so, and so on. The so in those glaciers that are now melting because of global warming, we might be facing a situation where all of a sudden you'd have millions of viruses coming to life, frozen in the deep freeze, for thousands and thousands of who knows how many years, maybe even more than that, and suddenly they can come out now and come back to life. There's fireworks happening here. I don't know if you can hear that. Can
Yeah,
you
we
hear
hear.
it? It's because of it's the excitement from the viruses coming alive. The Anyway, yeah. Thank you. Sound effects from nature. The from nature's program for the story. So think about that, right? Global warming, glaciers are melting, and now millions of viruses are coming to life. And some scientists will tell you they may be way more dangerous than COVID. That they may make look COVID look like a video game, look like just a walk in the park. So if that happens, and that can happen, in some years in the future. That can happen. So now who would you blame? Is it still nature, or is it man-made? So now you can say, oh, this is humans' fault because the human activity accounts for so much of the global warming. So if they make the glaciers melt and the viruses come to attack us because of that, they come back to life because of that. It's all man's fault. But wait, who put the viruses there in the first place? You know, so
Right. We should be able to melt all the Arctic ice without getting viruses.
that's not what I'm saying. But you get my idea. You'll go into this
So
cyclical
hold on.
logic
Just can you
of
stop this whole onslaught for a minute?
yes, of course.
Thank you, because
I can't stop it. I can pause it. I can pause it though. I can pause it. I'll
just
put it
pause
on
the
pause.
onslaught for a minute
Okay, I'll go
because
to I'll go into a freeze for a few
yeah,
minutes.
thank you. Freeze the onslaught. I know the information still exists, but don't clothe it yet.
Okay.
Don't clothe it into words and emotions yet. Um,
Okay.
Speaking of words and emotions, we have a few billion fellow humans, and to go back into another lockdown,
Hmm.
say come winter, um, makes me feel very kind of sad for all of the even though we understand where it's going and that it's all really for the good because it'll make us kind of shake off so many things that we
Hmm.
just we went back to traffic and we went back to this and but it's hard, emotionally difficult. I think it will be very emotionally difficult to for everyone to go to be locked down again, to go
Hmm.
back inside, everyone mask up again, and then also like, wait, what do you mean? The vaccine I got, I need another vaccine. Are we chasing this
Hmm.
thing? Like
Yeah.
that's heavy. I mean, if the ice is melting and the viruses are coming out of the ice, or the Delta variant or this variant or whatever. Um, wow, could you imagine
Yeah.
the emotional toll of being
It it
in lockdown again?
it's starting to get really um really a serious consideration. Lockdown becomes a serious consideration, at least here in Israel. By the way, it's really interesting. It's like, we here, like in my country, people here got, you know, we got used to already coming out of COVID very fast, like because it's a small country, and the vaccination kind of
What
distribution.
percent is your country is Israel vaccinated?
Oh,
Do you know?
a lot. I don't know, between 60 and 70%, maybe
And
something like
did you
that.
also vaccinate all the teenagers? Not you, but is
No,
all the
no,
teenagers vaccinated too?
that's actually that was adults. Teenagers is something that's starting right now. It's just now in this wave. But
Okay.
anyway, what I was going to say is that you're right. It's a big deal now because people have already they've been in it all over the world. It's like that. I think in this country it's really felt because how fast things happened. Like, there was the lockdown, and then the vaccination process was super fast, and results were immediate, almost like the country lifted everything. No more masks in the street, in closed places or in the street. No, nothing, no social distances, and we lived that for just maybe a couple weeks. And now today on the news, like everything in Israeli news now is about the Delta variant. And
Really?
as of and as of next week, masks are coming back to
No.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
really?
yeah,
Already?
as of next week, so they're
Oh, I
they're
thought we were
coming.
talking like,
No, 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 no. There's already a spread,
wow.
and but it's still not clear how bad it will be. But basically, so what I'm saying is this is this is
What
some
what
serious.
I'm saying is, do we
Yeah,
have the emotional strength?
right.
Does humanity have the emotional strength to go through this, or
He,
where will we find the emotional strength to go through this?
so here's how I see it. Yeah, the the I had still have actually, to a chronic issue with my with my stomach, esophagus. There's like a problem there. The the There's something that happens to you when you start realizing that you have some sort of a chronic illness. It changes you. It's very different from getting sick, and then you're acutely sick. You feel bad, everything is horrible for a couple days, a couple weeks even, but then you get better. When you develop some chronic illness, it can really get to you emotionally, because you start looking at life with this problem. You start looking at life from with this additional burden. You start I also believe there's a lot of research that there is some research at least that connects between depression and chronic illness. These two are linked. Why am I bringing this up? Because I think the fact that people are realizing it's not just another wave. People are kind of realizing that
Like we got a chronic illness here.
yes, exactly. And I think that is a big deal for us psychologically, mentally, emotionally. I think that the fact that people felt like what it's like to suddenly not be able to go on a plane, can't go to restaurants, problem with work, will I even be out of work, will I be able to go back to work, lockdown, what do I do with my kids, can't go to the movies, can't just do whatever I want, have to put a mask on myself, right? People got used to that, and they're like, okay, it'll be over soon, and we'll be out of there. And then they went out of it seemingly for a while, and now if we're going back to it, it's not just going to be, oh, we're this again, or oh, what is this, a new variant? This is like, whoa, there is a problem here that we are living with, and that necessitates a change of mind, change of preferences, a new strategies. When you start thinking about a problem as something that you're living with, you start to change your strategy about life itself. And Kabbalistically, Kabbalistically speaking, that's exactly what nature wants from us. That's exactly what nature is doing. And that's why this pandemic is happening in these waves. That's why it's not just boom, nature hits us, the sucker punches us, and that's it. We suddenly get what nature wants from
Yeah,
us.
these
No.
waves, these waves even make the process so much more nuanced and artsy. Like the creator could have just, ba
Yeah.
just, but instead it's like sex. It's like he comes to us and then he leaves, and it makes you want, wait, what's going on? And then he comes back and then he leaves. It's like, what is
Well,
this?
it's not for no.
What is this?
That's
It's almost like demented to think of like that. It's almost like if you accept it in the wrong way, it's very um you'd be like, what kind of masochist would do that? Like he comes
yeah.
with the virus, then takes it away, only to deliver it again, and then to tell me that you got, how much of that ice is melted or is melting, and you got more viruses in there, and you got all kind of other things in store with the heat wave this summer
Mm-hmm.
and the water shortages, and they're like, what? You could be, yeah, that's like a chronic illness that could make a person very claustrophobic,
And
anxious.
let me tell you a secret. It's not going away. It's not going away. It's again, not to discourage. On the contrary, we need to talk about how to look at this whole thing in a new way. What's the new strategy to figure out how to relate to this? But this is not going away. We've entered this phase of human development, of human evolution, where all of these problems are trying to pressure us and release us, pressure us and release us. And it's
We should
really,
turn it into
yeah.
like some pleasurable intercourse with the laws of nature instead of this beating. No, really,
Yeah.
because it's like it comes and appears and then goes away, and then it comes back and appears and then comes away. And like, is there a way? Then the question is,
Hmm.
like, is there any option besides just being depressed and upset and just bracing for impact when the next virus comes?
Yeah, we gotta um I want to try to get there through some example. But look, it's the simplest example is we're like like the kids that are, we just gonna go back out and play. We just gonna go and play again, you know? And there comes a point where you mature, and there is something much greater waiting for you to discover, to become. You need to start becoming something much more, and we have to be sensitive. We have to grow our sensitivity to what that natural program, where it wants to take us. The behind all of this simulated reality that we are in. We are in a simulated reality, by the way. It's not a computer simulation, but it's a spiritual computer simulation. Anyway, so behind the simulation, what's happening is, it's the light that develops the desire. And I'm just gonna throw some Kabbalah terms here a little bit. Okay, after that, after that you can push me to the corner, and then maybe we'll. But this is what's happening. There is one force of nature, and it created a vessel in which it wants to be revealed. It wants to fulfill that vessel. There is, think about just this abstract force that wants to build a vessel and then fulfill the vessel. So first it has to shape the vessel. It has to build it. It has to expand it. It has to grow it. And so it does that by getting in and out of it. In and out of it. The intercourse example that you brought up is not by chance. Kabbalists, it may sound like we're just, uh, saying something dirty or something like that, but we're totally not. This is, Kabbalists use the word zivug, which basically means coupling or intercourse, all throughout the study of the 10 Sfirot, when they talk about how the light uh, achieves this coupling with the vessel. And this is what needs to happen. We need to develop our vessel, meaning our desires, to want what nature wants to give to us. Should I continue?
Please continue.
And what it wants to give to us,
Is
what
a
it wants
virus.
is a
No.
okay.
Is a
Okay.
20,000-year-old
Is
virus.
it 24,000? Yeah. And we're okay. Okay, I'll go back to the virus. From there, I'll explain it from there. Look at what COVID is doing. It is gradually pointing at us and saying, "Hey, you're all connected to each other. You're all interdependent." And unlike ever before, and I don't care that you'll tell me that we had pandemics, the Spanish flu and all that. We've had tons of pandemics. It's part of the evolutionary process. There was never a global pandemic. This is a first. There was never a global pandemic because we were never a global humanity. What is happening now is that nature is showing us how we are being tied to each other as a global network. Global interdependence is the new law of nature that we need to start hearing. And it's going to force us to change the entire social order. We're going to have to change economics. We're going to have to change how we how we do politics, how we run our societies. We're going to have to use our technology in a new way. We're going to have to understand that we're social creatures and we're influenced by the media and by the environment, and change that influence to
Hold up, hold
support
up, hold up,
us.
hold up,
Yeah.
hold up, hold up.
Okay.
Let's go back to me eating breakfast. I had oats, I had eggs, and I had fruits. And we talked about the Wuhan lab scientists.
Right.
They were just following their thing. So when you say we have to change the economy, we have to do this, we have to
No,
do all that,
I'm saying these are
there's really nothing.
things. Okay. I'm saying
What
these.
I'm trying to say is it's
Okay.
easier than you make it sound, because
Yeah.
we're just going to follow our desires forward. But if we, yeah, so explain that, because it
Right.
sounds really overwhelming. If we have to change the economy and we have to change the whole world and we have to feed
Right.
all the starving people and we have to do that, that's a lot of work and it's very expensive. But if nature does it, whatever that means,
Hmm.
maybe through some scientists or through who, however. So can you break that part
Right.
down?
Yeah, you're right. So we just have. I'm saying all these things will have to happen. I'm not saying that we now have to start changing the social order in all, in every realm of human engagement. That will be a mistake, actually. The only thing we need to work on is changing our desire. Adding, even be I'll be more specific. It's not even changing our desire. It's consciously participating in the natural process that's already happening to change our desire, to make us want our state of global connection, to embrace our connection to each other and our conscious connection to nature. Our conscious participation is the only thing that's needed. So, nature is, look at these waves of this pandemic. Nature is deliberately putting us under stress and releasing us, putting us under stress and releasing us. And every time we are released from the stress, the question is, do we just want to go back to what we called normal? Go back out and play? Or are we starting to be more sensitive to why? Why is this happening? The question, why, is the answer to
When
all that we need
when
to do.
when the first wave
Asking why.
came,
Yeah.
or the first one, 1.1 and then 1.2 and 1.3, all these kind of things that have been
Right.
happening over the last year,
Yeah.
um, I was really excited. I was like, oh, people are going to open their ear. In fact, we did see a lot of people sign up for the courses and stuff when it first happened. That's when the show came. I was like, wow, a great opportunity for us to start to explain what the
Right.
wisdom of Kabbalah is saying, like through what's happening in the news. We've been waiting so long to try and explain it in clear language, but doesn't seem like, when I was in New York this week, um, I didn't feel a change so much in the ambitions of people. There's certain things, behaviors and things that are changing, but like the inner ambitions of people, like what's driving everything
Mm-hmm.
forward, didn't feel like people had some kind of awakening towards humanity's interconnected goal. It didn't feel like that. So
So we need another wave, man. That's unfortunately that's the quick answer. I would say. I would think about. Um. um but I do think that people are changing. I think that
do you?
we are changing. Yes, but it's not yet what it needs to be. It's not what it needs to be yet.
I
This is the
think that
problem.
maybe what it is that it's like when oh, we talked about it earlier in the show. Oh, you asked me about I had this emptiness. You asked, growing up, I
Yeah.
need to find some meaning in my life or whatever. You asked me how far back does it go? I remember being like 5 and having certain feelings, but at that age, I didn't have any words for it. It wasn't until like I got older and it's like I need to leave home. I need to go travel. I need to, you know, learn spirituality. Like until you get to a certain point and have language for those feelings, they're just these uncomfortable sensations inside that could be that seems similar to what's going on for people now. They're having all of these emotions inside without the language to understand what is this process that's happening to me. It's like the 5-year-old kid. He feels like he's stuck in suburbia and he doesn't want to just go to college, get a job, and retire. But he's only 5. He doesn't have any language to
Right.
talk about this existential conundrum he finds himself in. What am I? I'm just gonna play with my
Right.
toys, and then I'm gonna
Oh,
play with a
okay.
car, and then I'm.
So I think that if you look right, so what happens to that child is that they don't know yet how to express, but they already want something, right? They already need something else. Here are some. If you look carefully, I think you will find that there are some big changes that are happening socio-culturally in human society. For instance, there's millions. Chris, see if you can pull it up somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but there's some crazy amount, like millions of people don't want to go back to work or are quitting their jobs.
I saw
Are
these stats, but hold
re
on. They
Yeah.
didn't ask everybody if they wanted to go back to work before COVID. I think that people, if you asked them, "Do you want to quit?"
Yeah.
I think you would have gotten a high number also.
No, no, no. But people are. There's also more specific stuff than that. That people want to work from home, for instance, or
Mm-hmm.
they want to change their job. Look, all I'm saying is this: when we see this from our life, we see this from when you have a crisis, when you're in a tough spot, when the sky falls and some bad things happen, or when just things change in your life dramatically, you begin to recalculate. You begin to try to find like a new a new way, like a new. You're looking at the GPS and like, where do I go here? And you're trying to reinvent your next route, right? So I think this is happening to an extent, but it's starting to happen to an extent. Something is happening. I don't think that we went through all of this COVID and nothing happened in human society. I think things are happening, but it's just far still from the kind of conscious participation in our own evolution that nature wants from us, needs,
That's what I
pushing
mean.
us
Not
to.
that people didn't change because they have these feelings now, but they don't have language for it, right? It's still like, you're
Mm,
5 years old and you have some existential feeling that I need to go out and know why I live. And yet your expression of that existential thing is like, I'm mad at my brother and I want an ice pop because you don't have any other way to
mm.
deal with it at five
Yeah,
years old,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
You're just
yeah.
cranky. Your
Hmm.
parents don't know that you're having, they think they're going to give you an ice pop. And actually, because of your chemistry, they may give you the ice pop and may calm your existential emptiness at
Hmm.
5 years old. So now we have people who are still looking for an ice pop to calm their existential emptiness. They have this new thing that's erupting. Our work is cut out for us. We need to explain. I'm not sure today
And look,
we
another aspect to what you just said. The you also brought up earlier about um how going through another lockdown again with all of that, after we just came out of it, going into that again, how you kind of expressed how demoralizing it will be, how paralyzing it will be, not just psychologically, mentally, but also economically and socially, culturally. So the we need to lose hope from going back to what we know, and kind of lose our you know does that sound too harsh? I don't want to be
No,
too
it does.
too
It's
hardcore.
you know what?
We need to
It's
lose hope in our
harsh.
ego at the end of the day. This is the thing.
It's
To start we need to start asking, why do we exist, man? Humanity needs to start asking, why are we here?
it's like
What
bittersweet when you're like when you send your child off to, to put your kid on a sailboat to go meet
mm,
the
right.
prince she's going to marry.
Yeah.
It's like you're her childhood is over. I'm not
Mm,
going to see her until maybe she comes back in 2 years. She'll be a princess when she comes back, but the childhood, nursing her, waking her up, feeding her, taking care of her when she was sick, educating her, teaching her to play the flute and the piano, and getting her first dress and everything. And it's over, finished. She's not a child anymore. And
yeah.
I'm putting her on a boat,
Yeah.
and ideally she's going to make it across and meet the prince and get married, and the kingdoms will be united. But in the meantime, I'm nervous as hell because
Yeah.
that's my baby, and
It's a
I'm
big
sending her
deal. It's a
across the
drama.
ocean.
It's a drama. Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
it
true.
is, it is, if you take away the future,
Look, for a
it's
child, even letting go of your teddy bear is a tragic. It's a super tragic event. It's hard to even compare that to something that happens to an adult. I don't know, changing a job or something like that. I don't know what's worse. Of course, as adults we think, oh, for the child, it's just a teddy bear, but they don't look at it this way, right? So it's
mm,
all relative, and
right.
that's the
That
state
teddy
we're
bear
in.
is the security for the child in a sense.
Exactly. Yes, it's the sense of confidence. It's the familiar ground that I'm on. Obviously that teddy bear, psychologically speaking, it's probably some sort of a replacement of the motherly embrace or something like that. It's like a continuation of that, an extension of that. So we need to find a new level of confidence, a new level of certainty, a new safety, a new safe haven, safe zone, some new confidence. And that new confidence is not going to come from our ego anymore, and it's not going to come from the egoistic lifestyle which we've developed, and which was flourishing for the last almost 100 years. It has reached a state of satiation, of it exceeded its boundaries. That's it. Now we need to embrace a new kind of confidence that will come from embracing our global interdependence and beginning to work on becoming similar to this law of interdependence that is now working on us, becoming like it. It in the end of the day, it means developing a new sense of each other, a new sense of all human society, all fellow human beings. We need to start um, changing how we relate to each other. That's the key. Um,
Sounds very unrealistic. Sounds very, very
yes.
naive. Sounds, how do I hear it in nature? How do I hear what's happening? How do I see what's happening? How do I implement it?
I
Sounds ridiculous and naive that
I
on
I
top of all
don't
these
I don't know. I don't know. I gotta say I agree with you.
you're in
Obviously,
a bubble if you don't think that's
no,
naive. That
no.
doesn't sound
Obviously,
naive.
I agree with you that for most people in the world, that's how it sounds. On the other hand,
For the other five, who that doesn't sound
no,
like
no, no,
naive, that
no, not for the other five. If you look at all of nature, that's how nature works. Nothing works in isolation. No level of nature works for itself. In no other level of nature, you have the
no,
individuals.
what sounds naive is that in our lifetime, we're going to understand, we're going to speak to nature as if we're speaking to our beloved. We're going to understand nature's message.
Mhm.
We're going to react to nature as an integrated humanity, where all of us, with all of the billions of people with all of their different faces and all of their different inclinations, are somehow going to work together, and there's going to be abundance and health and fulfillment for everyone. That still sounds naive.
I think I agree. It sounds naive as long as you think that we can just do it. You know what I mean? That, oh yeah, let's just be good to each other.
Thank God we don't have free choice. Nature's going to do it.
We we're not able to do it. Of course we're not able to do it. We just need to start wanting it. Start agreeing with it. Nature has a process in place. You also didn't. It was also naive to think that all of a sudden the whole world will be in lockdown, and it happened a couple months ago in a matter of days, right? Also, the speed of changes that are going to happen in human society and is accelerating. We're gonna go through changes so fast you won't even recognize tomorrow what happened yesterday. This is part of the process. It's all part of the great transition that we're going through, and so I think that gradually what we think of as naive today will gradually become the only realistic thing. It's just that we will be facing, it's either we change our human culture, we change our psychology, we begin to relate to each other differently, we begin to treat the law of interdependence in a different way. But we understand we have to do it, but we just don't know how. It doesn't make, that's what's naive, that we can make it happen. But it's going to be less and less naive, I think, and more rational as the only course of action forward for humanity. So we're going to live in this paradox. We'll see what happens.
We will be back
Yeah.
next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern to discuss what is going
Yes.
on in the world through the lens of the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, explaining what happened before the Big Bang, the descent of the light, the cascading of the light, all the way down to the bottom of the world of Asiya, where this world came to be, and are sent all the way back up from inanimate to vegetative to animate, now to us, and at the precipice of becoming one humanity, a vessel for that infinite fulfilling, that infinite light to fulfill. We'll be here together. Everything is in our hands, friends. Thanks for joining us from all around the world.
Yes, thank you for joining. We are peeking at the into the chat every now and then and see some great comments. And it's great to see some of the usual suspects that are back here with us, giving us the support and strength and love to go into the great transition positively, graciously.
We'll help each other and we'll support each other. We will do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week, everyone.
See you next week, everybody. Bye.
Masked up, gotta block the call. Masking up my heart from egoistic thoughts. Learning all the lessons that this pressure gave us. Wanna save myself, I gotta save my neighbors. Slowly recognizing egoistic nature. Showing us connection is the only savior. We gon' come together, plow these fields of hatred. All is one with sowing seeds of love relations.
To shatter these walls, unsettle this heart from the chains of time. Then we soar through oceans in the sky. Oh, through your cold, to be in love with you, watch you with a bird's eye. See the world is built with you. In a field that is blessed, then to come home with you and rest. Just to hunt in a field that is blessed, then to come home with you and rest.
Only love can save us. Viruses, the hatred, unity gon' vaccinate us. True immunity from all the things that separate us. Everything is only for the good, it's all to change us. Yeah, so with tears and we reaping joy. Ego is the evil seeking to destroy. Education covering the hate with love.